Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. Today, at the request of a donor, I am playing a bit of 8 Mulch, which is not something I've played on the channel for a very long time. So if you're unfamiliar with this deck, it is a lands strategy, but it's not like the classic land strategy where you're grinding them out a little bit and you're doing your Urza Saga stuff and all that sort of jazz. No. This is 4 Manabond, 4 exploration. We're playing all the lands we can as quick as possible. We have 4 Mulch, where we reveal the top 4 cards of our library, and then put all lands revealed this way into our hand and the rest in the graveyard. So we've got one away, which is basically the same thing. So we're firing these off, maybe putting a Life from the Loam in the bin to keep recurring lands, and we're going to dump as many cards as we can into play with Manabond, ideally triggering Field of the Dead to make lots of zombies, and just overrun our opponent with that. That's pretty much the game plan. We do have a couple of copies of Dark Depths and some Thespian Stage to help that along, but there's no Urza Saga in here. We're just trying to go big with that. We've got some crop rotations to shoot for stuff we need, and that's basically it. So we got some spicy bullets in here. So we got, the Blast Zone, Karakas, Bojuka Bog, Tabernacle, Ghost Quarter, so we can actually strip all of our opponent's lands using this Life from the Loam. We got ourselves some Wastelands, obviously. And then for the sort of mana side of the deck, we have Boseijus, we have Nurturing Peatland, which can be a redraw if we need it, and we can sort of start looping things there. All of our lands, you'll notice we've got some weird ones here. So, we've got a basic forest, then we've got a snow-covered forest, and we've even got an ancient tomb in there. So the reason for all these things is so that we can get access to different card names for Field of the Dead to make this trigger. The reason we've got some black jewels in here, the Bayou, the Overgrown Tomb, and Underground Mortuary, is for the purposes of Dismember. Now, I'm not sure this should necessarily be Overgrown Tomb. Maybe it could be a different Surveil land, and that would be quite useful. But it's in there. We'll see how it goes. We also have a Tranquil Thicket here, which we can use to cycle and bring back our Life from the Loam, save it from Graveyard Hate, or just have more draws to get more lands in our hand. And that's basically it. We're going to be a lot quicker than a regular lands deck, one way or the other. Otherwise, we've got some stuff to help beat Storm. We've got some stuff to help beat some Graveyard decks. We've got some stuff to help beat some Blood Moons. We've got some stuff to help beat some Mages of the Moon. And that's basically what we're doing today. So let's just jump right in. Remember to like and subscribe. And if you want to see my videos early, just become a member of my YouTube channel for just £1 a month and you get to see my videos early. Alright, let's jam. Alright, our opening hand looks reasonable. I'll keep this one. We've got the Manabond. We can do some pretty gross wastelanding stuff. We've got this Life from the Loam. Let's see if our opponent counters our exploration. Let's try Manabond. They didn't counter the exploration, so I'm not sure they're going to counter the Manabond here. We're trying to fish out some kind of counterspell with the exploration, because they could have dazed that if they wanted to. And then the plan is we dump our hand and we just start Life from the Loam. Alright, we got Force of Will on the Manabond. Sure. So we can still just keep playing lots of land every turn, and that's still a reasonable thing to be doing. Exploration is pretty good. It's not going to be as fast and explosive as Manabond, but I can live with that. Our opponent pitched a Ponder, which doesn't tell us much, but the swamp here probably means Entomb. Yep. What a deck. So they're probably going to get Atraxa here. I don't think Archon looks particularly good against what we're doing. They just want more velocity, so it's probably the Atraxa here. Or it might be an interesting build with something like Valvagoth, whatever it's called, the new one from Duskmourn. That's pretty hard to deal with because you have to sacrifice 3 non-land permanents to target it because of its ward. So if they've got one of those, it'd be pretty good. I've seen a few people trying it out. Seems alright. Oh, there it is. Look at that. I exactly called it, and then they put it in their graveyard. Valgavoth. There you go. Sorry, Terra Eater. So this is a 9 mana flying lifelink. I have to sacrifice 3 non-land permanents to target. If a card you didn't control you put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, exile instead. You may play cards exile with Valvagoth. If you cast a spell this way, you pay life instead of mana. A lot of stuff on that card. It's just a big monster that's very hard to deal with. And it's probably going to wreck our day. Although, if they animate dead it, we can Boseiju the animate dead, which doesn't target the Valgavoth itself. Although, if they cast a reanimate, then that's a different problem. I don't know how we're supposed to beat this. I do actually like this card in the blue-black reanimated deck. I think it's a strong option to have. Okay, what is our plan here? Probably Dark Depths, Wasteland. I guess we target this because we're going to be Life from the Loam for it anyway. Yeah, they're going to crack in response. So we're trying to make a 2020 indestructible. That is our plan here. Oh, sorry, wait. Did all of our things get exiled under this? Yes, everything gets exiled under this. We don't even get to Life from the Loam here, do we? Oh no. That was an error. Playing against a new card for the first time. I don't think it's going to matter, but that's a good thing to learn in this situation when we're basically cooked anyway. There's a Wasteland. So they can take out our Dark Depths, which is one of the only ways we have of trying to win this game. So now they can Life from the Loam our own Wasteland here. So they can Wasteland us and then Loam it back for 2 life. So we have the Wasteland to beat their Wasteland. We need to deploy a Thespian stage ahead of time. But if they just crack this Wasteland now, then that's going to be pretty good. There it goes. Bye. Are they going to Loam here? Oh wait, no, this was our Wasteland, wasn't it? Okay, so now this is in our XR. What are we supposed to do here? Just take 9. We can't Maze of Ith this. Yeah, I think we're just dead to this. We just can't beat it. Okay, so we probably want our Fairy Macabres, and do we need to bring in Dismembers for Harbinger of the Tides? That's kind of the problem with this Blue-Black Reanimator deck, in my opinion. It has too many angles of attack. Okay, so let's split these lands up and see what we're going to be boarding in and out. Do we have any lands that don't seem very useful? Maze of Ith is fine, but pretty bad against Vale. Ghost Quarter does look pretty good. Field of the Dead's good. Tabernacle. It's not really a Tabernacle matchup. I don't think we want the Tabernacle. That gives us 1 cut. I think the Dark Depths is actively pretty good here. So we probably want to lean into that some more. We obviously want the Bojuka Bog. The Blast Zone is good against Psychic Frog and stuff, but maybe we just don't care about those and use the Maze of Ith. That's 2 cuts. And then, like, the crop rotation is a thing that lets us to do instant speed Bojuka Bog. But the problem with that is these can be countered, and we have very few targets for our opponent's counter spells. Maybe they're going to board out some counter spells, these actually get better. We could get rid of... God, this is so hard to sideboard against our opponent's deck, which is the problem, really. So, if we do this and cut 2 crop rotations, like, we need the things that power through and draw us the cards, because our deck doesn't really function without this selection of cards. Like, we could trim on some of our Wastelands or something, because our opponent's going to be fetching basics. We could maybe trim one of these. That gives us a Dismember. But we probably do need the Dismembers just for the Harbinger of the Seas, because we just can't beat that. So maybe we have to get rid of the Thespian stage to get another one in. At least we're showcasing the problem with the Blue-Black Reanimator deck. It does tax you on so many angles here. I guess multiple Manabonds are bad, so we can drop one of those. I don't feel great about that. It's just too many things. I think Reanimate strategies are just too splashable in Legacy right now. Okay, these are good cards. We'll keep this. We can explore, then we can mulch. We've got ourselves a Maze of Ith if we need it. Got the Dismember for the Harbinger of the Seas. I'm not sure how much they're going to be into their Reanimate plan. But they obviously saw how good Vale is against us. Like, if we can get loads and loads of zombies, then we don't care. But if we are behind on that front, then we just don't get to do anything. Because we have so few permanents to sacrifice, even if we wanted to. A basic item from our opponent. That is not going to entomb a creature. Let's crack this Wooded Foothills. Let's get an Underground Mortuary. Get a little bit of Surveil action. A crop rotation. I think that's fine to draw. Unfortunately, we have to play this into a daze. But is our opponent realistically going to have that many dazes? Field of the Dead and Maze of Ith. Okay, so I guess we're playing out our Maze of Ith. And our... just another Maze of Ith. Or is it the Field of Dead? We kind of want to get lots of different names going. I think it's probably just the Field of Dead here. Get our tap land out of the way. So now we are just drawing off the top. We did not put Life from the Loam or anything into our graveyard. So we're going to need to find a little bit more action to really put this game away. Our opponent not doing the Entomb line on turn 1 is very good for us. Alright, so this is just going to be a Brainstorm with fetch land. So it's just a setup turn, which allows us to develop more, but we do need to find something. Now we obviously have the crop rotation, so we can try the Dark Depths combo, but that will be into a counterspell. A Lotus Petal. So our opponent's on a slightly faster build. It's good to know. Another Maze of Ith. Alright, I think we play a Dark Depths, and I think we play a Maze of Ith. So we can crop rotate. We can probably just throw away one of these Maze of Ith because we've got so many of them. But we'll wait and see what our opponent does, because they Wasteland us. We can then try and crop rotate without having to lose a resource, because we were going to be losing that resource to the Wasteland anyway. So I think that's probably fine. We'd love to have some more Mulch Winding Way type action to really push this one through a bit more. Troll of Khazad-dûm. If they reanimate that, that's fine. Maze of Ith handles that. We have plenty of Maze of Ith. I don't even think I would bother trying to get a Bojuka Bog here. I think it's just better to get the Marit Lage. They might not have the ability to deal with Marit Lage. They might not have the ability to play the Troll and deal with Marit Lage, but we'll see. A Psychic Frog. Sure, so our Dismember doesn't kill Psychic Frog. Because why would it? Why would that be a thing that we're allowed to do? Alright, let's crop rotate away this Maze of Ith. Do you have a response opponent? They do not. Let's get Thespian stage here. I think we're incentivized to go for it here. At the very least, we get a 2 for 2 off of this Lotus Petal. Then we can stall the board with this Maze of Ith. And if our opponent's got less cards in hand, maybe our Dismember can actually kill one of their creatures. This does not work the way our opponent wants it to. Because they'll remove it from the stack, then it immediately goes back on the stack. Because as long as it has no counters on, if it doesn't have a trigger ability on the stack, it will try and put the trigger ability on the stack. So you can stifle the Thespian stage activation, but you can't consign to memory it. Consign basically doesn't work against Dark Depths. Alright, so they're going to have to jump their guy. We may get a window where we can dismember this and swing for lethal this turn, but I doubt they're going to do that and they're just going to chump block and get swallowed up. I'll play out a couple more lands. No Field of the Dead triggers, sadly, but we can hard cast a Dismember now, and that'll be around a daze. So we're going to need something like another Psychic Frog, but this time we can dismember this because they've only got 3 cards in hand, so they can only discard enough cards to make this a 5-5, 4-5. We'll pay some life so we can play around double days. It's not the reason I'm running the Dismembers post-board. Killing a frog with it is very unlikely to happen, but we got there. Okay. So we can do on the draw. Okay, so this covers the graveyard angle, but we don't have any mana to actually play the game, so this is not one that we can afford to keep. We do get to have green mana to do our things. We don't have the graveyard angle covered particularly well. We have to put one of these back. So I like the Maze of Ith. I guess we're just not doing Field of Dead stuff yet. We can find one of those later. We don't have any of our play multiple lands a turn, so this is going to be rough. But they're not doing an Entomb on turn 1 unless they play a Lotus Petal here. So that gives us a slight reprieve. We have to pay out the forest so that we can crop rotate, but if they counter our crop rotate, then we lose our forest and we just lose the game. But we're not going to cast a crop rotate unless we're going to lose the game with the play they have. Like if they're playing some giant monster we can't deal with. We'd love to draw something like a Manabond or Expiration on our first turn. That would be the ideal. Okay, so now we do get to cast green spells if we have to crop rotation. That's good news. There is a Swamp. There is a Brainstorm. Alright. Still no committal to anything on our opponent's end. Can we draw something good here? Not especially. I don't just want to send this into a daze either. I don't want to be shields down on crop rotation, so we just play out the Karakas. And we play this one slower. Unfortunately, that means our opponent gets to sculpt a bit. Just that guy. That's fine. So now we just play out the Maze of Ith. And just slowly keep making land drops. We're going to hold up the crop rotation in case our opponent tries to wasteland the maze. We can go and get another maze. No wasteland. That's good news for us. They're not going to bother with attacking on the frog. Opponent's probably got more lands than they would like as well. Alright, so this covers our graveyard a lot better as well now. Play this one out. We can cast a Mulch. We're going to go with the non-wastelandable sources. Sorry, with the green sources. Including our non-wastelandable one here. Because they're more likely to wasteland one of these two. And they will tap for green mana anyway. What are we seeing here? A daze. I'll pay for that. It's a free spell out of our opponent's hand. Maze of Ith and Nurturing Peatland. That also puts our Life from the Loam into the graveyard. Which is not a bad place to have it. We can do an emergency crop rotation, but we don't really need to while we have the Fairy Macabre. Okay. They're discarding cards when we have a Maze of Ith here. Interesting. We can't consign to memory this one. So, kind of discarded a card for no value there. Obviously, we don't know what's in our opponent's hand. An Entomb. Sure. So hopefully we get the blowout with this Fairy Macabre. Because it's a very hard thing to interact with. This is the best graveyard hate at the moment. It's also the most played creature in Legacy right now. The reason it's the best is because you can cast it through like an Orange Chant out of breakfast decks. You can also cast it for... You can also... so get rid of this one. Hold on, let me just click these things, then I'll finish that thought for you. Doesn't matter which one of these we take out next. I don't believe it does. So yeah, so also... The fact is that it's uncounterable when like the best deck at the moment is a reanimated deck that has counter spells. So you want the uncounterable Fairy Macabre. Alright, we're slowly getting there. Do we need to dredge this right now? No, not really. We're looking for one of our things that lets us play multiple lands in a turn. That's the ideal here. So what are we doing? I think we're just playing Nurturing Peatland here and passing. We're in a reasonable spot. I'm not going to make a click through it. I appreciate that, opponent. At some point we're going to start doing our Field of the Dead nonsense, and then we're going to be living life large there. So next turn we start making zombies. We could start manually thawing our Dark Depths as well. So it's in our opponent's interest to attack with this Psychic Frog to stop us thawing 2 counters. So we're going to thaw 2 counters off. And untap, we're going to start making some zombies. And then next turn we play another Field of the Dead, and that's 2 zombies. And then we can winding way our way towards some other lands. If we had some kind of exploration, we'd be absolutely popping off right now. Is our opponent going to attack? No. It's going to let us keep thawing. Discard a Troll of Khazad-dûm. You going to reanimate that? I'm happy to take 6 one time. Sure, you can pay 6 life. We'd have to take damage for our Nurturing Peatland because we have the Yavimaya in play. Okay, so this is big game right now. Let's see if this resolves. Let's get a Winding Way going. We choose land. Okay, let's get another Winding Way going. Choose land. Which one of these are we going to play? Does it matter? Probably not. Right, just play our Field of the Dead. Get 2 zombies. So if we mana bond all these, we're just going to get a million zombies. We're going to see a Consign to Memory. That's a lot of triggers. Alright, our opponent's scooping it up. The reason it took a while to put the triggers on the stack is because we have one other trigger. So we'll stack all the same triggers on top. But we're about to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 zombies. That's a lot of zombies. And even if they reanimate some giant monster on their turn, we can just swing through it and kill them. Because that is so much power. Alright, we got the first match. Let's go to round 2. Okay, I can keep this one. Go and get a basic forest. We can play a Manabond. Ooh, City of Traitors. Assuming Spirit Guide. Is this a Blood Moon? No, okay. Blood Moon is a tricky one for us to answer. We're definitely going to get a forest though. That does help us beat Blood Moon because we can try and draw into a Boseiju then. Ooh, an Exploration. That's even better for us. Let's go and get this basic forest. Let's take Exploration. Play this. Pay some life. Cast this Manabond. We're not going to dump our whole hand in yet anyway. We're going to do some Winding Way type stuff. So say no to the Manabond trigger this turn. Is our opponent playing Painter or are they playing Prison? They're more likely to be playing mono red Prison with the City of Traitors because there are less copies of City of Traitors. Alright, Pyrogoyf, that pretty much sums it up. They are on sort of classic mono red Stompy style shell. But there's a little bit of wiggle room in them. I've seen some with the Phyrexian Devourer combo. Because running main deck Graven Hate is good, like Agatha Soul Cauldron anyway. But we'll see what the list is doing here. 4 mana. Caves of Chaos Adventure. Okay, so they're on a different build. The initiative is a kind of awkward thing for us. We need to really ramp up what we're doing over this side. Because they can just loot through the Undercity while we're kind of dithering around. We don't have a way of taking it back until we are properly in the Field of the Dead. If we hit enough things, we might just be able to make a 20/20 though. So we have double crop rotation. Okay. Let's winding our way through this game. Let's name land, obviously. Oh, we hit some. So we need the Maze of Ith to keep their creatures at bay. We need the Thespian stage for next turn is fine. Forest is fine in case we need an emergency crop rotation. Okay. So the plan is make a 20/20 next turn. If we were to crop rotate this now, we still wouldn't have enough mana to do the thing. If we were to crop rotate this, we will say no to this thing. So there is a line there where we crop rotate into a Yavimaya, and then we crop rotate into the Dark Depths, and then we let the Manabond resolve, and then we can maybe make a 20/20 right there and then. That might be the better line, but having this Boseiju around for this turn cycle, I think makes a lot of sense as well. So I'm going to bash some creatures. They're going to get to look at the top card of their library. Vexing Bauble. Okay, we don't care about that one. Let's say no to this Caves of Chaos Adventurer, buy ourselves a little bit more health. So next turn our opponent can Reflection of Kiki-Jiki their Caves of Chaos Adventurer. That's not a thing I want to happen. The One Ring. Sure. That's fine. That's not another thing that actually hurts us, which is what we want to avoid here. So we need to blow up this Reflection of Kiki-Jiki. Okay, that was a handy draw. So we have this one, and we have this one. So this 4 mana gets us our Marit Lage, so we do that now. Get Bayou, is fine. So we crop rotate away this forest. Go and get the Dark Depths. Then we copy the Dark Depths. We're doing this now so that we can use our Boseiju for 1 mana before this untaps. Our opponent probably has 0 answers to this in the main deck. Just say no to this one. And hopefully between this Maze of Ith and this 2020 blocker, we don't die this turn. If they have another One Ring, then things get a little bit awkward because we're going to 5 off of the trap here. We say no to this. It's not like a Pyrogoyf. We got what? Land, instant, sorcery, enchantment, creature. So a Pyrogoyf is lethal here, but they have just binned off 2 of them. So maybe we're okay on that front. Alright, we're on 5. Maybe we're supposed to have just gone for the 2020 last turn. But that wouldn't have worked into the One Ring anyway. But we would have killed one of their creatures, so maybe that's better. Right, our opponent's drawing with the One Ring. So they're going to attack the Caves of Chaos Adventurer and see if it finds something useful. Let's see what they exile off the Caves of Chaos Adventurer. The One Ring. That is useful. So I guess we get rid of the Caves of Chaos Adventurer. And then we Maze of Ith the Shaman token. Our opponent's playing a Chrome Mox. I have to imagine the One Ring comes down here. And they can just try and loop through the Throne of the Dead 3 to try and get themselves a Pyrogoyf. Where is my land that says damage can't be prevented? I should print that one. Alright, so they're drawing immediately as well. Another Manabond isn't really the one we wanted, was it? So let's go Life from the Loam. We'll target Stage and Depths and Boseiju. I think those are the best 3 that we can target. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we can crop rotate for a Field of the Dead and then get 6 power of zombies. Do we have anything good off our crop rotation? I don't think we have anything particularly good off of our crop rotation that we can get. Is there any merit to Boseijuing our opponent's things? What is the one thing we're going to lose to here? Pyrogoyf. Can we stop it? No. So I think just make the most amount of guys is probably correct. Let's crop rotate, get rid of the Overgrown Tomb here. Just go and get Field of the Dead. We're not attacking because they have One Ring protection. We'll say yes to this because our hand is much better in play. We'll yield to these triggers to save ourselves a bit of time. Like, there's nothing we can Boseiju there that really matters. So I don't think it's worth holding up the Boseiju. We just need to hope they don't draw Pyrogoyf or find a Pyrogoyf if they can find a initiative creature. And hit the Throne of the Dead 3. City of Traitors. There's Pyrogoyf. It is a Pyrogoyf. So that's a 6-7. That just domes us for 6 and kills us. Alright. Did not quite get where we needed to go there. Maybe the turn we made in 2020. Like, obviously they just had the answer for it anyway, so it might not have mattered. But alright, what are we looking at here? Dismembers to kill their Maguses of the Moons and their scary creatures, and Force of Vigor to kill Blood Moon. Let's pull a bunch of lands this way and then work out what we're getting rid of from our deck. So, I do not believe we require a Bojuka Bog. Wastelands can still be pretty good here. Tabernacle is fine. Blast Zone is pretty reasonable. Are we going to be able to get it up to enough mana to blow stuff up though? It's mainly like 3 drops, 4 drops. Maybe this is too slow. Maybe we take one of those out and just replace it with a Dismember, which does better things. Maze of Ith are obviously going to be pretty handy here. Our crop rotations are just going to resolve, so I think we want to keep our Dark Depths in because we can just get them with that. The Life from Loams are probably going to be worse post-board. They're going to be bringing in stuff for Loams, so we at least trim a couple of those. We might be able to take out 1 Manabond. I think that's reasonable enough. Seiju's obviously great here. Ghost Quarter is fine. Karakas probably doesn't have any targets. If they're running Caves of Chaos Adventure, they're probably not running Lalia. So we can take out the Karakas. That gives us 1 more cut to find. We don't really want to cut any more green spells. So we want to make sure we have enough stuff to pitch to Force of Vigor. So we're probably cutting a land. And then the question becomes, what land are we cutting? We don't want to cut any green sources because we need as many ways of finding green sources early doors as we can. Is it the Tabernacle? Is that the weak link here? I think our opponent's going to have so much mana they're going to be able to pay for whatever big creatures they have. So that's probably where we're looking. Alright. So the reason for cutting the Manabond is it doesn't scale as well in multiples as Expiration does. What does this hand do? Nothing, and it does it slowly. So let's mulligan. Force of Vigor, great. Manabond, great. This selection of things, not so great. We're just going to be sat here waiting to do our thing. Can we realistically mulligan to one of those 8 cards? Get a little bit more value. I think we just have to keep this and hope that everything goes to plan for us. Our opponent's mulligan to 5, so they might just be going deep into a Blood Moon strategy, which is fine for us because we've boarded and are keeping a hand based on our opponent having a Blood Moon. Right, so we'll play our Manabond before any sort of Chalice of the Void type stuff gets involved. Well, I don't think our opponent is running Chalice of the Void because they showed us the Vexing Bauble and it's usually either or. So we can just keep drawing lands until we have enough lands to dump all of our stuff in and do a Field of the Dead play. A Blood Moon. Well, we have an answer for this right now, so that's fine. In fact, we have 2 answers. One of them we can't use, but it's there. This probably means that we are playing a land out here just so we have the access to the Boseiju. But we generally don't want to play our lands out and try and use the Manabond. Another Blood Moon. Okay. So we need to find a green card and blow them both up. But this is all our opponent's doing. If they don't have a threat, then that's fine. We'll eventually draw the things we need to. Are we playing out Field of the Dead in case we draw... I think we play out... It's a hard call here. If we play out Field of the Dead, that gives us the ability to draw into a basic forest. We have 1 more forest in the deck. So I will leave it just on the 3 lands here. I won't play out any more. So we'll say no to the Manabond again. We have 3, 4, 5 names. They got another Blood Moon. No, it's a Fable. So this is a real card now. That's what we didn't want to see. It's not the quickest clock, but it's a very real plan for our opponent there. A Manabond, so that's a perfectly good card to Force of Vigor. I don't really want to Boseiju their Blood Moons. We need the lands. So we're going to wait until we can put all our cards in. So 3, 4, 5. So we need 2 more different land names. So if we can draw something like a Winding Way this turn, that would be great. And we can just load up our hand. And then in our opponent's turn, Force of Vigor, untap, Manabond. And everything's going swell. The One Ring is a pretty potent magic card that we can't really interact with here. We don't have an Urza Saga in our decks. We don't have an Urza Saga package. Another Force of Vigor. Is it more important to hit the Fable at this point? Alright, I think we have to fire off one of these Force of Vigors next turn. I don't think we have to get the Fable this turn, but we might have to next turn. We can always Boseiju the Fable. But if our opponent keeps drawing cards with One Ring, they might be able to deploy another Blood Moon, and that's just another annoying thing we have to deal with. Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Yep, that's pretty strong. That means we have to kill this Reflection next turn if we're not doing something better than that. So in comes the Shaman, they get some mana. If they've got another creature, they can deploy it here. Another Blood Moon, they can deploy it. They've got 3 mana. It's getting tough for us. So this is the turn. We take out the Blood Moons. No Vexing Bauble, so they're not going to be able to counter that with anything. So we need to draw a Winding Way. We drew Mulch. That is a Winding Way effect. Let's get this. These are 2 lands. So if we go and Manabond, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that is all of the types we require. That is all the land names we require. We have 2 Field of the Dead. So we'll get 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 zombies. That is 20 power. Do I think that can beat what our opponent's got there? Or do I need to Boseiju something? I don't think we care about that. I think we're just going to make all the guys. We should be able to kill their creatures in combat and take the Monarch relatively well. They will get to Reflection of Kiki Jiki. That is the one thing I'm worried about here. Life from the Loam. Well, we want that in our graveyard anyway, so there it goes. So we can dredge that next turn and hopefully hit multiple lands. Another Blood Moon here to shut off our Field of the Dead means we have to win with these exact zombies we have in play right now. Right, they're pumping the Chaos of Chaos Adventurer. And see what they attack with and see what we're going to block with. Pyrografe is what? Sorcery, instant, enchantment. No, sorcery. Yeah, sorcery, instant, enchantment. So it's a 3/4. Yep. So they're copying this. That gives them 5 damage to our face. Fiery Confluence. Okay, so that's lethal damage to our face. So we have to block a bunch of stuff now. I don't think we're going to win this one. Sadly. So 2, 4, 6. We take 1 from this. 2, 4, 6. We take nothing from this. If we take 1, that puts us to 10. They Fiery Confluence us. That's 12, 6 damage. Is it 12 damage? I can't remember now. 2, 4, 6. And they can also just wipe all of our guys. So we're kind of in 2, 4, 6, 8. So we're kind of in the mode where we need to do this because they might just ping everything for 2 and kill all of our guys. That will hurt their own board a lot though, but they'll keep the initiative. They can just ping for 1, take out our 2 zombies, and then dome us for a bit. That's pretty strong too. They can play another Blood Moon and shut off our Field of the Dead for next turn. There's a lot of options our opponent has here, and they're all pretty strong against us. Fiery Confidence, 1 damage to each creature, 1 damage to each creature, 2 damage to each opponent. So they're getting rid of all of our zombies like we thought they might. So we soaked up as much damage as we could with them. A Vexing Bauble. That's not a Blood Moon. Another Vexing Bauble. That's also not a Blood Moon. Okay, so they're going to go into the archive. So we need this Life from the Loam to hit. We hit 2 lands. That's alright by me. Okay, so we just put them in the end step and get ourselves 4 zombies. So we have plenty of fuel to try and take back the Monarch. So we've got Artifact, Enchantment, Creature, Instant Sorcery. So 2 Pyrogoys kills us. I don't think there's any point wastelanding here. We can wasteland one of our lands to get it back. So we can wasteland our Tranquil Thicket and then we can regrow our Life from the Loam twice and make loads and loads of zombies next turn. Cave of the Chaos Adventurer. This puts them into Throne of the Dead 3, which is obviously not great for us. Let's see what fresh hell is going to be coming our way. Could be worse. It's just a Fury. We're going to lose 2 zombies. It's going to be difficult for us to get the Monarch back. But our opponent isn't in a scary part of the Monarch just yet, because they've already gone through that scary part. If they've just got more Cave of the Chaos Adventurers, then that's going to suck for us. Or more Furies. Another Fury. Yep. That's pretty annoying. Right, so we're going to dredge Life from the Loam. Did we hit any lands? We did. Okay. So we're going to Wasteland. Hold on, we might as well float green first. We're going to Wasteland our own Tranquil Thicket. Then we're going to get back Tranquil Thicket, Wasteland, Verdant Catacombs. Then we're going to cycle this Tranquil Thicket. Get back Life from the Loam. Then we're going to cast this, getting back Tranquil Thicket and Nurturing Peatland. And we're going to cycle this Tranquil Thicket. Go back to Life from the Loam. Find some more lands. So we don't get to do this again. So we just go to end step and make loads and loads and loads of zombies. And then our opponent's just going to draw 2 Pyrogoys and kill us. That's the way. Alright. We've assembled 20 power and we've got another 4 zombies coming in off of our Verdant Catacombs. But we might not want to crack that if our opponent can do some Pyrogoy nonsense and has like a bit more burn somewhere. Alright. We just don't need to crack it until we need to know that's the right thing to do. Are we surveilling here or are we forging? Oh, they're on the basic land stage, aren't they? Sorry. You don't loop automatically back. I just got a message about some leagues being refunded. I hope that didn't pop up, but we'll see. Alright, so they're cracking the 1 ring. They're drawing 5 cards. I am worried about double Pyrogoyf here. Maybe we're supposed to wasteland our opponents so they can't double Pyrogoyf. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we might have missed that line. Okay, just playing another copy of the 1 ring. So next turn we get to make loads and loads more zombies. Unless they play a Blood Moon here. There's Chromox. There is the Blood Moon. Okay, so our response here is sacrifice this. Get a Bayou. Make some more triggers. How many forests do we have? We have both of our forests. Okay, so we wasteland our Boseiju, so we can go and get that back in a second. And blow out their Blood Moon. And then in case they have some Graveyard Hate, I think I want to take out one of their City of Traitors. We've been doing like max dredging, but our opponent still has seen more cards because of the 1 ring. That's pretty interesting. If they attack with Fury, we can put loads and loads of bodies in front of it. If they attack with Caves of Chaos Adventure, they get to cast a spell for free. Disruptor Flute. What is that going to name? Wasteland or Boseiju? Boseiju is a pretty good name there. So we can't just go and get back our answer now. So we're back to drawing regular cards. What are they going to name with this one? Also Boseiju? No, that doesn't make sense. Actually, no, it does make sense, right? Because then we can't Force of Vigor and Boseiju. Life from the Loam. That just makes it more expensive, that's fine. Yeah, we're going to be hard casting our Force of Vigor anyway, so we don't care about the portable. Our opponent has 1 ring protection. Are they going to try and chew through our guys? No. They're just going to try and let the initiative do the thing. Alright, we're going to say no to this life in the loam. We drew a crop rotation. So we can go and get a 2020 as well as all this other nonsense we have once we find the Force of Vigor. How many Force of Vigors we have left in our deck? 2. We can't attack just yet. But if our opponent attacks, we can kill on the crackback if they don't have a One Ring. How many One Rings have we gone through? It feels like we've gone through some. Right? This is just the second one, so they can probably just re-ring. Not the most well-designed Magic the Gathering card, the old One Ring. Just from a flavour standpoint. Because it's specifically designed in a way where you want to have as many copies of it as you can. So you can just keep up your bubbles and just keep drawing all the cards. Right, there's the One Ring. So I think we probably crop rotate our Yavimaya out the way. So we thin our deck slightly. And we also, that way if we draw a Yavimaya, the Legendary Clause doesn't matter on it. Whereas if we sacrifice anything else, it does. There's certainly a possibility their own ring kills them, but they've only got a third of their library left. So they can definitely re-ring at some point. They also have Broadside Bombardiers in their deck, so they can just throw the One Ring at us for a big chunk of damage. And we are only on 8. They are evoking a Fury. Okay. Gonna lose a couple more dudes. Goodbye, dudes. We only have 20 power left. I wonder if they attack here. They do. So they get a free card, whatever they find here. Another copy of the One Ring they can cast for free. Well, we have to block this, so just soak up a bunch of damage here. That Paragoyf is something we're worried about. More Fiery Confluence can deal a whole boatload of damage to us. You don't need to tap to play the One Ring there. It's free because of your Chaos Adventure because you've gone through the Undersea. So yeah, this is what I mean, where they can just re-ring, and that gives them the free attack. They're whittling down our things. Sure. We do have more Boseijus to draw to in our deck as well, but we can't use them under the Disruptor Flute. Because this Pithing Needles them, but makes spells cost 3 more. So we're just looking for this Force of Vigor. Fiery Confluence. 1 damage to each creature, ×2. Okay, goodbye all of our creatures. Vexing Bauble, sure. Okay, so in the end step, we're going to thin out our deck slightly. Go and get our Dark Depths. It comes up with no counters. We did not draw the thing we needed and we are dead. Yep, Blood Moon is good. And that's the end of the match. Let's go to the third one. Alright, our opening hand doesn't have any of our exciting things that actually let us play the game, so we're going to mulligan it. Exploration into Mulch and Winding Ways. Yeah, I'll keep that. Tabernacle. We can crop rot for that if we need it. Let's go Basic Forest. Play the Exploration. We can get our Field of the Dead tapped out of the way, and next time we can just start mulching and winding waying and getting into our deck. Back when I started playing Legacy, the lands deck ran 42 lands. Like the regular lands deck. And this is kind of the successor to that in a lot of ways, because we are doing very similar things of having your Manabond, crop rotation, life from the loam, and not much else. Obviously back in the day we weren't doing mulch and stuff, but apparently stopped in our draw step. I wonder what's going on here. Mulch, let's get some lands. Okay, so I would like to play this Misty Rainforest, and I would like to play this Wasteland, I think. And then I will pass. I will not fire this Winding Way now in case we need to crop rotate for a Bojuka Bog. If our opponent is doing scary graveyard stuff. Basic Swamp. Is there going to be some scary graveyard stuff? No Entomb end step. Okay. We have forced our opponent into a basic there they might not have wanted. Mog War Marshal. Alright. We maybe do want the Tabernacle here. Right, end step we will go and get ourselves an Underground Mortuary. Life in the Loam, you can go into the graveyard. We don't need to dredge that just yet. Right, so we've drawn a crop rotation. I want to cast Winding Way again. See if we can find something we want. I guess we are playing a Maze of Ith. And I guess we crop rotate away our Underground Mortuary here and go and get that Tabernacle. Start taxing our opponent that way. And then, do I want to have green mana open? Probably, so I'm going to play this Verdant Catacombs out. That way we can crop rotate or Tranquil Thicket if we need like more Maze of Ith, or if our opponent wastelands us and we want to just kind of get through that. Alright, you've got some triggers, opponent. Yep, they're letting the Mog War Marshal go, that's expected. They're going to keep their token around. Yes, they are. Okay, so they're keeping their token around, and they obviously get the other token from the Mod War Marshal dying. So we're going to start doing some zombie stuff next turn. Boggart Trawler. Whenever this enters, exile target player's grave. So we're going to target us. So we're going to crack this. We're going to get a forest. We're going to cycle Tranquil Thicket here. We're going to dredge life from the Loam and hope we don't dredge anything too spooky. We lost a Maze of Ith and a Dark Depths, that's fine. So we still have access to our life from the Loam. We can start wastelanding our opponents. We can get bashed for 1 here off of the token. The Tabernacle should be doing an awful lot of work against our opponent in this matchup. They're going to lose at least 1 creature in their upkeep due to our Tabernacle trigger. Oh, we should have just Maze of Ith that. Clicked through that by accident there. Okay, so what we're doing here. A Blast Zone is pretty good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if we... What are we crop rotating into? We already have the Field of Dead actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can play out a land here. Is Blast Zone any good? Is that what we're doing here? I think we go for Dark Depths. Just get that up and running. Get ourselves a zombie. We'll Wasteland here. And we'll Life from Loam targeting this. And we'll play the Wasteland. Get another zombie. So we can crop rotate into Thespian stage. We can't activate it yet. But we have next turn to do what we need to. We can also crop rotate for a Nurturing Peatland if that's something our opponent wants to try and do. We can block them up good with the zombie tokens. It should be difficult to lose from here. Not impossible, but difficult. Because they're a long way off of casting Muxus because there's no Seething Song Goblin, whatever that... Mind Goblin, that's what it's called. Or Sticker Goblin, whatever you like to call it. That's been banned for a while. So that's not going to be a thing that's making them cast a Muxus early. So that's going to be a very difficult card for them to get into play. They're unlikely to be casting anything like Brightstone Ritual. Because I haven't seen that card for a very long time. Munitions Expert. Okay, so you would like to kill one of my zombies. Okay, that is 1 less zombie that I will be paying for in my upkeep. If you attack, I will trade. Will I trade? No, I think we just Maze of Ith actually. We want to tax our opponent's mana in their upkeep. Do I care about this zombie? I don't think so. I'll trade to life from the Loam. Just to Bayou. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we will hit their Badlands. Get back the Bayou and Wasteland. Play the Wasteland. Make a zombie. With the Bayou. Make a zombie. And then we have the ability to make a Marit Lage. And just swing for lethal next turn. So these zombies are just fodder. But by keeping the Boggart Trawler around, rather than blocking it, it means our opponent is tapping their mana down their turn, which is what we want because we just don't want anything interfering with our Dark Depths. Alright, our opponent's had enough, and I do not blame them. So they are playing a deck that is going to have some Blood Moon effects. So we probably need some combination of Force of Vigor and Dismember. Let's pull these out and work out what we're cutting. So I think I'm happy to remove the Bojuka Bog, if I can find it. There it is. That could go. The Blast Zone is probably quite good here. The Life and Loam probably gets worse if our opponent's got more Graveyard Hate. We've already seen the other bits of Graveyard Hate, so we can at least trim one of those. Maybe we trim 2. Our crop rotations are going to resolve, so that's good. How good is Wasteland against our opponent? It's pretty good because we need to get them in the Tabernacle bind, which also means Ghost Quarter is good. The Maze of Ith are good. Karakas probably not that great here. We need all of our fetches and blue and green sources here, so we can start the game off right and have like access to crop rotate for Tabernacle and all that sort of jazz. We can probably trim a Manabond. Like I said, they don't stack as well. Is this a game where we need to be doing Dark Depths things? Probably not so much. We can probably shave on these a little bit. Would I rather have a Thespian stage? I think we're just having 1 Dark Depths, so we choose to 4, and then the Thespian stage can become another Field of the Dead, and that's probably our most profitable way of winning the game. Let's try this out. We have a removal spell. We have access to green mana. We have a Manabond. So I think that's where we want to be, really. But we will need to find a card advantage piece, whether that's a one-off hit with like a Mulch or a bigger... Alright, Aetherfire, that's pretty good here. I was going to say, or a bigger hit with something like a Life from Loam that we can recur over and over again. So do I want to wasteland our opponent? Probably. Although, I think I want to get basic land out first. I think that is step 1 of anything we're doing here. Because if our opponent goes and plays a Blood Moon, then like off a Spirit Guide or something like that, then we're going to feel really silly that we didn't get a green source. Because that would just cut out so many options for us. Right, a Wasteland from our opponent. A Maze of Ith. Would I like to take out my opponent's red mana? I think so. Alright, they're going to put in a Lackey or something. A Scope Prospector, sure. We have a Dismember, so we can hit whatever the big thing is that they try and play. We can Wasteland their Wasteland. Scalding Tarn. We didn't get attacked for 1 with the Prospector. That is unexpected. So I think I will play out a Wasteland here. And then pass. No to the Manabond. They would like to Wasteland our Wasteland. We'll force the fetch out now. See, we could go and get something. We could have just like crop rotated there. The problem is if our opponent plays like the 2 mana Super Lackey, Warren Instigator I think it's called, which I sometimes see in Goblin lists, then that gives us a real burden to deal with because we haven't got our Dismember up. Because they can put that in off the Vile. They didn't put anything off the Vile. Still not attacking with a Scope Prospector. What are they worried about? That we go and get Dryad Arbor. A crop rotation. I guess we're probably supposed to be playing this crop rotation, aren't we? If we just play out our lands, we have access to Marit Lage in a few turns. So I guess we play the Maze of Ith just to have a little bit more shields up. But yeah, we can just crop rot for both of them once we get a little bit more mana. Let's see what they're going to put in. A Boggart Trawler. Yeah, that's pretty good against our Life from the Loam strategy. Getting rid of those wastelands. The Valve ticking up is a little bit concerning when they start doing Muxus things. Alright, I'll get rid of this Boggart Trawler. And take the 1. And that's fine. I mean, we can start messing around with Tabernacle stuff, but I don't think that's where I need to be here. What I like is tapped or untapped. I think tapped. Just so we are saving our life in what is basically an aggro matchup. Right, you're going to put anything in off of your Aether Vial. They are indeed. If it's scary, we can dismember it. A Siege Gang Lieutenant. No, thank you. So we do this before they create the goblins. So we take a big hit for that. But that card is very, very scary. So they have a lot of mana, so they can put something like a Muxus into play as well now. We can Maze of Ith a Muxus if it comes in with haste off of some of the Lord effects that give haste. So what are we doing? Playing out another guy on our end step so they have even more pressure. Pashalik Mons. Whenever another goblin you control dies, bad things happen to us. Okay. Bad things, you say. Right, so attack with all these. We will maze this Boggart Trawler. So we probably have to dismember the Pashalik Mons here. Which is obviously terrible news for us. Okay, the Mulch is pretty interesting though. Okay, so if we're trying to make lots and lots and lots of guys, we probably... But I really want this extra green source. I think that means we play out the Blast Zone ahead of time here. So just to have more options here. That's Mulch. Just 1 land. Whew, that's no good. So if we dismember this, we go to 6. We stop this, we take 1, 2, 3 damage. That's still alive. But they could sacrifice 1, 2, 3 right now. I think our opponent is going to win the game. We're going to die with his crop rotations in hand. Okay. They were F6 to our turn, so they only get to ping us for 1. So we get a 5. We get a 3 next turn. And we're going to have to find something to stabilize here. That Mulch was pretty bad. But we have a Life from the Loam. If we can Life from the Loam enough stuff into our hand, then we can try and Manabond some zombies and have enough blockers. But they do have some direct damage creatures like the Sling Gang Lieutenant and the Passionate Mons, but the fact we've gotten through 2 of those already means they're less likely to have more of them. The Passionate Mons is definitely just a one-of. Oh no. What are they casting? This is like a Big Daddy Muxus. There it is. It's big. That's a lot of stuff, isn't it? They've got a Siege Gang Commander. So they can matron. If they've got a Sling Gang Lieutenant, they can find off of these matrons and they kill us. Do they have a second one? I think they probably do. Broadside Bombardiers. They can cast that right now and fling the thing at us. Yeah, that'll do. Okay. I like how we sideboarded here. Maybe we're a bit too high on these effects. We don't need them as much. Maybe just 3 is acceptable. I really don't want to get killed by Blood Moon. Our opponent definitely has it in their deck though. Okay, an exploration. We're in a similar situation where we just don't have the card advantage piece we need. We're going to get our basic land. Just keep this game nice and honest. Exploration. Play out the Bayou. In case we need to do an emergency crop rotation or dismember. If our opponent plays a Lackey, we probably don't even dismember it on our turn. On their turn, we probably just wait till our turn so we can pay some mana instead of life. Alright, I'm happy to see this life from a Loam. So this is 2 life either way we pay it. So I think we go Maze of Ith, get back Misty Rainforest, play Misty Rainforest, pass. So we can Maze of Ith this Goblin Lackey. Alternatively, we can dismember it if we need to. There's a Wasteland. They're going to take out our Maze of Ith here. I will crop rotate it into something useful. I will go and get this Snow-Covered Forest. If we crop rotate this, it has to be into something that taps for colourless mana. What would that be? I think we're best served just letting this go, dismembering the Lackey, and then using this to find something actually more oppressive. Like, we could just let this hit and try and kill everything that comes out of it with the Tabernacle. That doesn't seem like the best idea. There is a Lackey. Sure. We will dredge life from the Loam. Cast life from the Loam. I would like Maze of Ith, Ghost Quarter, Field of the Dead. I'll play as my Maze of Ith. Do I want to Ghost Quarter and just start that old chestnut going? I don't hate it. Our opponent's probably going to have quite a lot of basics though. So maybe this is the time to Overgrown Tomb tapped and get out of the way. So next turn we start making zombies. Bojuka Bog, sorry, Bog at Bog. Not Bojuka Bog. A Mog War Marshal. Sure. So we can just roll this up with a Tabernacle in the very near future, I think. This attacks. We Maze with it. Say no to Goblin Lackeys. And we'll dredge his life in Loam. Swing and a miss. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we go Field of the Dead, Ghost Quarter, make a zombie, crop rotate this away, go and get a... Do we just get another Field of the Dead here? No, because we don't have all the types, do we? Let's get Tabernacle. Kill some more stuff. Get back our lands here. Do I think they have more basics in their deck? Is it worth Ghost Quartering here? Unsure. We just keep making zombies here. So you got some triggers, opponent. You got some triggers, we got some zombies. It's going to be pretty hard for this Goblin and Lackey to get through. They're keeping the Lackey around. But everything else went away and they got their token off of the Mog War Marshal dying. Need to go to their main phase. They got something over there. Scope Prospector. That can kind of help. Oh, they're sacrificing some guys. Is this going to be a Blood Moon? It is a Blood Moon. That is fine. Well, we could Ghost Quarter our own thing if we want to, but we're just going to Life Alone trying to get back this Boseiju that's somewhere in our deck. Bash for 4, we're the one with the clock. Place Dark Depths so that if we end up in a situation where our opponent has a Blood Moon leaving play, then we can just blow it up. We're not going to play these other lands because we want them to get Field of the Dead triggers if we can find our Boseiju. We also have Force of Vigors, but we've got 2 Force of Vigors over there. Our opponents just had enough because they know we're eventually drawing into the Boseiju. Okay, next time we're going to draw into it and it's going to be lights out. Alright, 3 rounds down, 2 to go. Let's keep it rolling. We don't have one of our things that lets us play multiple lands. We do have lots of card advantage. We're going to try one of these hands out. I'm not sure these are the sorts of hands we are like locked in to be keeping. But we've got a little bit of surveil action. Maybe we can dig into one of our 8 bits and pieces. Come on, deck. Mulch. Mulch is good. Is that good when we have all of this stuff going on, though? I don't think it is what we're looking for. We already have 2 of those effects. We're looking for the things that let us put multiple lands into play. Because we already got Life from Loam, Winding Way ×2. That should be enough to get everything rolling. Depends how fast or slow this game is going to be played, though. Do I need to Winding Way right now into a potential daze? I think that's fine. We want our opponent to be set back so we can just keep playing all these lands from our hand. We'll name land. Okay, we just milled off a Manabond. That's disappointing. The idea was if we drew lots of cards there, we could discard the Life from Loam and start dredging that if we wanted to. A Crop Rotation. That's a pretty real card, isn't it? I think we play out the Foothills. I'll crack this now to go and get ourselves another basic. Just have those locked in. We'll try another Winding Way. Land. Just the one land. Exploration down. Life from the Loam down. Sure. But we can just play our lands out and have Field of the Dead do stuff now. So our opponent doesn't act. We can start pulling ahead. I've got a feeling our opponent's playing blue-green Omnitel. I don't know why. We don't need to do that just yet. So what are we playing? I guess we play out a Blast Zone because that's something that we maybe want to start activating. Do I want to bring back this one Wooded Foothills? Not just yet, to be honest. I think we just pass and just hopefully just do nothing and play a bunch of lands. And our opponent's playing loads of spot removal, like Swords to Plowshares and stuff. That's the dream here. Okay, I believe our opponent is playing blue-green Omnitel now. The full art forest, the full art island, and then the non-full art forest. Okay, our opponent is playing some cards I've never seen before. Whenever an enchantment you control enters, and whenever you fully unlock a room, draw a card. Flash. That card seems okay. So we're probably going to put some counters on the old Blast Zone. Start charging our laser. And Wasteland, not going to get much done here. Our opponent knows we have a Wasteland, and they're fetching around it. We might be boarding them out. Oh, maybe not. We did play against a Rooms deck the other day that did some cool stuff. I managed to beat it, but it was still pretty cool. When Trial of Ambition enters, target opponent sacrifices a creature. When a cartouche you control enters, return it to your hand. Okay, our opponent's playing like Bug Enchantress? I guess. It's a thing you're allowed to do. A Brainstorm. Have to imagine there's some Force of Wills kicking around over in our opponent's hand. Right, I think we're on team ticking up Blast Zone now. I don't think we're dredging Life from the Loam here. It's not really what we wanted. So we have a choice. Are we just trying to play out to Field of the Dead? We can start Wasteland. Our opponent's got the clock, so I think we just need to keep playing stuff out. Threaten the Blast Zone if we have to. We might be able to sweep up multiple things with the Blast Zone. We'll see what our opponent's up to. This does exactly what the counters are. It's not equal to or less. It's exactly equal to. Alright, so we're going to take another 2 here. Let's put a charge counter on our little friend here. So I can take out the entity tracker if we think that's the thing we have to do. Again, I'd rather draw one of these things like a Manabond. That's a pretty good one, isn't it? Okay, let's cast a Manabond. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if we cast a crop rotation, it gets countered. These won't make any guys. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, that's not true actually, right? 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay. They have a abrupt decay. Okay, we don't have to do that maths anymore. We'll leave our graveyard popped out because it's quite an important zone here. So that means we're probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 playing out this Wasteland. And next time we can start making friends. Just use our life total as a resource. Our opponent's probably got loads of removal and like interactive cards, and we're hopefully going to ignore all that with the loving power of zombies. I'm going to leave this on 3. An exploration. Happy to see you. Is this worth a counterspell to you? You've got Hardcast Force of Will over there. I'll play our Field of the Dead and get a trigger. So we can Wasteland now and get triggers next turn still. Our opponent has 1 black source, so I'll take... No, I got 2 black sources. What am I talking about? I will take out one of the blue sources. That makes the most sense. Alright, we're in the Loam zone. Gonna play some enchantments, opponent. Utopia Sprawl. Yep, so they get to draw off the entity tracker. It's pretty cool. Trial of Ambition. So we will sacrifice a creature. Well, we certainly have the ability to sacrifice creatures. They're getting some sweet card advantage there. We'll sacrifice our only creature. I wonder what cartouches they're playing. And I wonder what cartouches are and what they do. A Mulch. I think that is worth casting here. Field of the Dead and Maze of Ith. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we'll play the Maze of Ith as our 7th land. Pow. We'll make a zombie. I'm pretty reluctant to crop rotate here. Now, what does our opponent have in hand? It has to be interaction, otherwise they'd be just spamming all their enchantments out. Sorry, just got tabbed out there due to some notification about rubbish formats like Pioneer or Standard or something that I don't care about. There's only one format on this channel, and that's Legacy. Although I might be doing some pre-modern stuff at some point, but it will be extra content rather than instead of one of my dedicated legacy slots. So you might get some bonus weekend content of a little pre-modern game at some point. Anyway, our opponent's gone and got a basic land. Next time we can play Field of the Dead and get 2 zombies. Entity Tracker. I think this is worth popping this now. This means we don't get to play Field of the Dead and get 2 guys. Leovold. Okay. That's obviously good against some of the stuff we're doing. But we can just put bodies in front of this because we got bodies. Maze of Ith in this, not great because I get to draw cards though. I do not believe we're dredging this. Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale. Does that help us here? I think we're just playing this. Actually, do we have anything to fetch? We have an Overgrown Tomb to fetch. So we'll play this out and get a zombie. To try and kill one of our zombies, we can get another one. But ideally, we want to start getting double Field of the Dead triggers. Do I want to fetch now, or do I want to get double Field of the Dead triggers? I think it's double Field of the Dead triggers. So play this one out, get some zombies. And then we can go and get our Overgrown Tomb, make some more zombies. Just keep that rolling. What does this do? Whenever Overlord of the Flood Pits enters or attacks, draw 2 cards, then discard a card. It's a 5 mana, 5/3 flyer. Okay. You can draw 2 and discard 1. It's an enchantment, so Boseiju cleans it up whenever we want to do that. Should this not be exiled? Oh no, they just actually hardcast it. Okay, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I've never seen one of these actually hardcast before. You may have it enter as a copy of an enchantment you control. Okay, so I see what they're doing here. They're copying their Overlord. Sure. Pretty cool. I like what our opponent's doing. It's some interesting stuff. Let's go and get our Overgrown Tomb. Make some friends. And eventually just go wide of what our opponent's doing. Are we dredging now? A little bit worried about these Overlords. Exploration. That is a great one to have here. Got any answers to this opponent? The answer to that is no. So if I play a Yavimaya, or we could play Tabernacle and Wasteland. So we can play this. And then we can play the Tabernacle and tax our opponent's mana to keep their guys alive. We can answer both of their guys. Maybe we're supposed to shuffle a few creatures in for a little attack. But alright. You got some pain to do, opponent. I was expecting this league to be quite quick today. But we're having some grindier ones. Seeing some cool stuff on the other side of the battlefield today. I have to imagine they're paying for all of these. Oh no, they can just exile that one and bring it back so they don't have to pay, right? That's pretty cool. Oh, they decline the exile because they want to attack with it. Sure. Ground Seal. Cards and graveyards can't be attacked against spells or abilities. Okay. Let's give our opponent a card draw. But we do get to kill their creature. Opponent's on 16. So how many creatures can we attack with next turn? We need to connect with 8. So if we cycle our Tabernacle into something else, we can maybe have enough creatures in play. Do I just take the 5 here? Or are they going to be back on blocks? Coming in. I think we do still maze this. Enjoy your free card, opponent. I don't want them to know that we're going to crop rotate away the Tabernacle. Alright, but now they have hardcast Force of Will mana. That's the downside here. Alright, they're tapping something down. An Abundant Growth. That does not give them extra mana. That's okay with me. They've drawn a lot of their deck. Although, so have we, to be fair. Crop rotation, get rid of this Tabernacle. If this resolves, we get lots of friends. But we don't have to pay for them now anyway because the Tabernacle's gone as part of the cost. Force of Will, pitching Brainstorm. There's no point dredging life alone considering our opponent has got the Ground Seal. So we have 20 power. They can block 4 power. I think we just turn sideways. And then we'll worry about it. What happens afterwards. They're going to have Fog. Endurance. Sure. You can target and put all these beautiful cards back in our library. They're going to recycle their own stuff. Sure. So block 3 of these. They take 7. So they're going to go to 1. But we should be able to clean them up. So do I want a Wasteland here or do I want the Yavimaya? The Yavimaya might help our opponent. Wasteland definitely doesn't help our opponent. I'll play Wasteland. And I'll play another Wasteland. So by saving that 5 damage last turn, it means that if they can deal with our Maze of Ith, they still can't kill us. We have 4 blockers. We forced them to have something. They did have something, so they get to fight another turn. Estrid's Invocation. So this is going to be another Overlord, I guess. Okay, they got another Overlord. How can you get through this pile of nonsense we have assembled? An engineer explosives would be pretty good here. Very unlikely to have it considering they got lots of permanents of their own they want to keep around. How much are you getting tapped for? Okay. So we're going to try and keep... I think we're going to go for preventing damage here. Because the only way we lose here is if we get cheesed out. Our opponent has to act first if they want to save their Leovold. A brainstorm. Because they have priority first because it's their turn. So then we can Maze of Ith their Overlord. Save the 5 damage. Crash with all of these guys. We just have to hit with one of them. Alright, so they want to save their guy. Sure, that's fine. That's a removal spell that's not being used on any of our attackers. Yes, you get to draw a card. It's a little bit annoying, but it's better than taking 5. So we clean up their endurance here. We have 8 2/2s to attack with. That's a lot. That's 12 damage they got to try and deal with only 2 blockers. Alright, they've had enough. Excellent. Alright, our opponent's got a bunch of enchantments, so I guess we're playing Force of Vigors. Do I want some dismembers? Our opponent's showing us stuff like Leovold, which can be annoying for what we're doing, but isn't the end of the world. I don't really think we need the Bojuka Bog here. That one, Blast Zone, looks pretty darn good. Tabernacle, our opponent's not going that wide. I don't think Tabernacle is the way here. Although it does give us the ability to just say no to our opponent's stuff, but I don't think that's the way. Karakas probably has a little bit of purchase here. I think we're just boarding in the Force of Vigors. We've seen some counter spells, so I kind of want to cool it a little bit on these crop rots. And I think that would probably do. Bar big engines going. I don't really want to Karakas their Leovold. But if I have to, then I'll accept that. It has some text. Am I just trying to Force the Vigor and blow up all our opponent's stuff? This doesn't really do the things our deck wants to do, but it is definitely good against what our opponent's doing. Alright, I think I'll keep 2 4-mana 2-for-1s when our opponent's deck is really slow. Maybe that's a weird one, but... Alright, Utopia Sprawl, maybe they're not going to be that slow. We'll find out. A crop rotation, I don't think that's worth holding up this turn. We just want to get to 4 mana and start blowing their things up. Ground Seal, yeah, that's fine. They got land? They do have land. Alright, we'll get our Surveil land on. Try and work our way towards some kind of exploration. Something like that would be good. There is an island from our opponent. Overlord of the Flood Pits. Sure. I don't think our opponent's doing anything suspicious with the impending there. I guess if they copy it, it just becomes a copy of this with the invocation thing. That's kind of what they're trying to do here. Do I want a Dark Depths? Not really. Although we do have the crop rotation. Nah, I think we're just looking for our spells more than anything. A Mulch. That is one of our spells. I don't really feel safe casting it just yet though. Because we have the Yavimaya, we can play out the Maze of Ith knowing that we have 4 mana for Force of Vigor next turn. If they play the Invocation, are we going to Force of Vigor in response? Or we could Force of Vigor take both of these out. But we could Force of Vigor take both of these out instead. This just becomes a Utopia Sprawl. But then it can become whatever it wants next time. That's kind of annoying. I think we just want to take both of these out. Alright. I'll take that. They do get to draw 2 and discard a card here. But the Estra's Invocation, every turn it can just flip into something else. So we'd just be constantly worried about it moving forward. I don't think it's worth the hassle. Alright. A Mulch. We don't need that yet because we're not in the market for playing multiple lands. We've got 2 more land drops. Or at least 1 more land drop. And then we want to be having different names. So we can just hold open this Force of Vigor for whatever scary thing our opponent does. Estrid's Invocation. You're going to be a Ground Seal or you're going to be Utopia Sprawl? You're going to be a Ground Seal. Do I care enough about these Ground Seals? Based on what I have right now, I don't think I do. And we can just kind of keep playing lands and doing our thing. Yeah, I like Thespian Stage here. We can activate that in our opponent's turn and copy like their island or something. That way we don't have a draw of the... Oh, okay, so this flickers every turn. I see. They're going to... It doesn't become a copy. It exiles and becomes a copy, right? Maybe we were supposed to hit that earlier. But I want to see one of these Floodlords. Let's get another Floodlord in. 3 mana. It's going to be another Invocation, is it? Overlord of the Flood Pits. Alright. It's getting floody out there. There's a pretty good force of will target. Force of negation. Sure, same but different. Alright, that changes things. Yeah, you can remove one of your little counters. So they're going to flip this into an Overlord next turn. So I think we are on Let's Cast a Mulch. A Dark Depths. That's pretty good. We can go for the 2020 combo right now. Because of the Yavimaya allowing our Dark Depths and our Maze of Ith to both tap for mana if we need it. Sure. You're going to have a Flood Pits? Sure. I like what our opponent's doing. There's some cool stuff going on. Does this have flash, this cartouche thing? No, Trial this does not have flash. So we won't be killing our Dark Depths. I'm about to see a card I've never seen before. That blows me out. Possibly. Back to basics. Entity Tracker. Sure. We got the engines going. Utopia Sprawl. This is going to draw them a card. We are giving them green mana with our Yavimaya, which is something to note. If we want to play around Shoulder's Edict, we don't make a 2020 right now. That does give our opponent more cards to draw and do some scary stuff with. But it allows us to play around Shoulder's Edict. So I think we are actually going to do that. Is there a land we could find off of Mulch that would change our plans here? Uncertain. Let's Mulch and find out. Was this good enough for a break? They started pitching to Force of Will. And then they stopped and cast a Brainstorm. So we know they have a Force of Will. They might just be seeing if they have a better card to pitch to it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we do need to play a land with a different name. That land is probably the Wasteland here. Alright, Magic Online is having a little bit of trouble with this one. Alright, unfortunately there was some sort of problem with Magic Online. And they've taken down the platform for a little bit. And hopefully they get it fixed for tomorrow and I can record the rest of this league. And you will just see a seamless transition from this moment into the next game. Alright, we're back now with this league. It's a day later for me, and 2 of our matches are nullified. So technically we're undefeated, I guess. So let's play the final match. Alright, our hand looks pretty good here. We've got the Manabond. We've got some card advantage here. So this is probably a turn 1 Manabond, turn 2 Mulch. And just put many things into play and hope to spiral the game out with the Life from the Loam. Now, if we just get reanimated on, we might be too slow to do anything. A Preordained. That suggests to me some sort of combo decks. We could be looking at Doomsday. We could be looking at some sort of Ad Nauseam Tendrils list would be where I'd most expect to see the Preordained these days. Since a Doomsday list tend to be on either personal tutors for Turbo Doomsday or they're on the Tameo Psychic Frog plan. Let's get this Manabond down. Alright, F6. Our opponent is way more likely to be on a combo deck like Ad Nauseam Tendrils that doesn't interact on our turn. An Infernal Tutor. This does say Ad Nauseam Tendrils to me. So, how are we supposed to interact with what our opponent's doing here? I think the sad answer is we don't. So this turn we could crop rotate, or we could mulch, or we could crop rotate for something that will be tapped and then mulch. Sorry, something that will be untapped and then mulch. Would I like to have like a Wasteland in the rotation of stuff we have here? Probably. Is Wastelanding our opponent now good enough, or should we try and mulch? Well, I think we're going to go Forest. Going to crop rotate here. And we get an untapped source. It's probably the Wasteland. And we're going to cast this Mulch. Field of the Dead and another Wasteland. It's not quite what we wanted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different names. If we wait till next turn, we can get a Forest. And maybe something else, but we kind of need to have our Life from the Loam in the graveyard. I guess we say yes to Manabond's ability. So we get our Life from the Loams out there. We can also then fire off a Wasteland. Let's Surveil first and see what we find. An Expiration. That can go into the graveyard. We don't need that now. And we'll take out, I think it's the Underground Sea. That's the thing they can use to cast some cantrips and fix their hand. But now we're very much on the can we win by Wastelanding? I think the answer is no. The other option we had there was just to hold up a crop rotation and hope our opponent doesn't, and hope our opponent goes through the graveyard. But if they're doing a Cabal Ritual, finding another, so they Infernal Tutored for a Cabal Ritual, right? So that means they had 2 Cabal Rituals, which means that they're probably just going for a pretty standard like Ad Nauseam or a Tendrils kill. Yeah, so it's just going to be an Ad Nauseam kill from 19. They got lots of life to work with. Let's have a look. Still got a lot of life to work with here. They have lethal. They just need to find some sort of tutor here. They're going to keep going. There's a tutor. So now they can win the game here, right? So they play out their land for turn. Then they Dark Ritual. And they cast this. They crack the lines like diamonds. And that is enough to kill us. Alright, so this is the reason we have these Mindbreak traps in the sideboard. What is not useful here? Blast Zone probably doesn't do very much. Ghost Quarter might do something. Karakas won't do anything. Tabernacle, if they're doing some sort of Empty the Warrens line, I wouldn't mind having access to this. Wasteland effects, great. Bojuka Bog, arguable. I don't think that's where I want to be, but it's arguable. What are we removing from our deck in order to fit this in? Maybe we are just getting rid of a... Bojuka Bog could be useful. Maybe it's the Ghost Quarter. They're probably not going to have many basics anyway. Just get rid of, like, a Thespian stage. Now, our opponent's going to dress our hand. They're going to play around Mindbreak Trap, and they're going to beat us. This matchup should be pretty straightforward for our opponent. We're going to keep our card that lets us do the thing. Hopefully, one Mindbreak Trap will be enough. But this matchup is so bad for us that we need to just have the card that deals with their thing and not worry about our own game plan, which isn't a great place to be. Okay, so we can lead off with... I think it's probably Yavimaya here. This can be useful if we want to work towards a Dark Depths kill. If we draw either piece next turn, we can do that on turn 3. We're probably getting Duressed or Thought Seized, or our opponents... Yeah, okay, so it's going to be a hand disruption spell, so we're going to lose our Mindbreak Trap. And then we've got nothing now. Thespian stage, okay. That is something there, isn't it? If we play this out, they know that they're going to have to respect the combo. But I don't think we have a better choice there. I think maybe we're supposed to play different lands so that we can crop rotate if they duress us again. Yeah, here comes the duress now. Do I want them to take this crop rotation? Yeah, we misplayed that, I think. Alright, the Yavimaya goes. We'll go and get Dark Depths here. Yeah, if we'd have played out a different land there, it would have been way better for us. I suspect it might not matter, but we never know. Life from the Loam, you say. Go back to Yavimaya. Alright. I'm just gonna... Okay, they're gonna duress us again. Okay, that's fine. There's a lot of duresses for a deck that... When our deck is one that wants to basically discard its whole hand. Sure, I'll dredge that. That's not worth doing anything with. Just play this one out. We can cycle a Tranquil Thicket to try and draw into a Mindbreak Trap as one of our outs to them going off this turn. And they can't duress the Tranquil Thicket. We're just going to get to do our thing here. I got a Chain of Vapor. Just attack and see if this is good, and then we can work out what we're doing afterwards. An Echoing Truth. So now I'll get back Dark Depths, Thespian Stage, and Nurturing Peatland. I will play the Dark Depths here. Because of the Yavimaya, we can still cycle for a Mindbreak Trap. Chances of us hitting it are low, but there is a chance. Our opponent has a very sort of defensive hand over there. I think if they just did their thing with like a duress, we'd be fine. Sorry, they'd be fine. Alright, so we're going for it here. Ad Nauseam. Okay. Tendrils of Agony. That's a big hit. Burning Wish over there. Cabal Ritual. Bunch of goodies. Come off the top here. So now they're at 2 life. Have a chance to just lose the game here. So playing out Polluted Delta, they can crack. They've got other cards in hand as well. From before this. A Ponder. It's probably not where our opponent wanted to be. I don't think we need to dredge the life from the Loam. We could draw a card that allows us to deploy multiple lands. Like an Exploration. That would be better here. Our opponent's got to clean up and get rid of a bunch of cards here. Right, I did that relatively quickly. So they probably have a line worked out that wins next turn. A Mulch. I'll play a Thespian Stage. We have a Dark Depths with a Tranquil Thicket to cycle as backup for the spiking ability in drawing the Mindbreak Trap. I've called it out enough times. Surely it will happen now, right? The Cabal Rituals are very much adding 5 mana here. Dark Ritual into Ponder. Right, we've got a Cabal Ritual as well now. And we know they have Tendrils of Agony over there. We know they have an Infernal Tutor. I'm surprised they didn't try an Infernal Tutor for another Cabal Ritual. But then I guess they need the red mana to do some wishing type stuff. Alright, we got there. Our opponent just didn't get anywhere. They had a lot of defensive stuff and it didn't really work out for them. So let's just go in again. This is... I don't think we want the Fairy Macabres here. Well, they can do some stuff. Like, they can stop them having threshold, but that's not really worth doing in my opinion. Let's see if we can get the technically undefeated record, because 2 of our games are nullified. Alright, so we have a card that I need in our opener. We have a lot of green mana in our deck to draw to. Given the nature of this matchup, we have to keep this hand. We can't mulligan into a hand that's fast enough to beat our opponent's average draws, so we need to have the interaction. Here comes a duress. No duress. Okay. Love to draw a green source. It was not a green source. Okay. I will play a Thespian stage. This means if we draw a Yavimaya, we can try and go on turn 3, or if we draw any green source, we can go on turn 3. Which may be quick enough. It may not be. Life from the Loam. So I think we're just playing out the depths here. This might force our opponent into going off early, which means that we might be able to snag them with a mind break trap. A duress. Okay. So lose a mind break trap here. And can they combo off this turn, or are they got a hand that requires more time? A Lotus Petal. Another Lotus Petal. 3 cards left in their hand. A Lion's Eye Diamond. So we're looking at a tutor cracking the Lion's Eye Diamond with it on the stack. Yep, so this gives them exactly 5 mana to try and do an ad nauseum kill. They discarded a Pass in Flames. That's actually pretty handy for them as well. I wasn't even sure they were running that. It was likely, but again, I don't think Fairy Macabre is good enough to beat Pass in Flames, and we have Bojuka Bog anyway. But maybe we're just supposed to board in everything that has a tiny little bit of interaction because the matchup's so bad. Alright, so they put the ad nauseum on the stack. See what they're revealing off the top. I need some starting mana here. So I need like a Lotus Petal. But they can probably engineer a situation where they just discard a bunch of cards and get to use the Past in Flames. So I guess they can just do it that way and play out these Lion's Eye Diamonds. That gives them 6 starting mana. And they can just flashback Cabal Ritual, flashback Cabal Ritual. Wait, are they going to have enough for that? It's what, 5 to flash this back? Do they have a Dark Ritual? Let's pop their graveyard out and have a little look. They did have a Dark Ritual. Okay, so this should be pretty easy from this point onwards. So we can just scoop this one up and finish the league. Honestly, it feels a little bit hands off the wheel to me. I don't like just sort of dumping all my stuff in and saying, I hope this is good enough. I prefer the decks that have more interaction built in, or having things like Urza Saga and different engines that you can start spinning up and doing things with. I would rather be playing some sort of regular lands build. But it is pretty fun when you actually get to do the thing. Like when we put a million triggers of Field of the Dead in play, that did feel like a wonderful thing. And I can certainly see the attraction to playing a list like this. But it does feel like you're playing more into hate because you have less way of wiggling around. And you have a harder time sideboarding because your deck is like these cards and then lands. You can get rid of some tech lands and some matchups, but then it's harder to board in the other cards. And we're kind of just doing our thing and saying, is it good enough? And I think a lot of the time in Legacy right now we'll find that this won't be good enough. Pretty fun though. Maybe there is a different way you could build this, trying to maximize your mulches and winding ways in a different fashion. But I'm not sure that 8 mulch is quite where I want to be. I think the format is too fast for the most part. We can't really, you know, have a bunch of turns playing out our lands if we have to. Now we did get that in some games and sometimes it worked out. But a lot of the time against the top decks like Eldrazi and stuff like that, you're not going to have the time to just play out your lands casually, and we don't have enough interaction, I think. Like, we'd just be relying very heavily on Maze of Ith, but they play creatures every turn, so that's not going to work that well. And I think I prefer the approach of lands where you have more precise interaction and just more stuff going on, right? And you have different forms of acceleration, so you have like your Mox Diamonds alongside your explorations. It just feels a little bit more well-rounded, but there's no denying this is a fun one. Alright, that's us done for today, so please remember to like and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. Goodbye. If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget turbo depths as well as 3 tiers of support. A low cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel. A mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed turbo depths guide that is updated every month as well as regular articles. And lastly, the higher tier gives you all of the above as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.